An interception. Relo.
What a remarkable drive, man. That's an all-American drive right here.
It's not exactly unwarranted. Like, when you have a guy that's that electric.
The legend himself, the GOAT, Dre Crowell.
Where my warm bottle movement at?
That kills your argument right there. Anything can happen. This game is not over.
What's good, Relocation Football League fans? Forgot to turn on the mic, but the mic is on now. We are back for the Relo recap, as always, on Wednesdays. This is the RFL podcast for anybody who is new. Shout out to the guys who are here. I hit up Bill and Rob. I don't think they will be able to make it to the podcast. I did not get a response from them. So it'll just be, let me go ahead. Jesus. It'll just be me for today then. Just to get us going here. So per usual, we're going to recap the games. I'll go ahead and talk about the games, my key points, my thoughts on, each team so far, how the things are going. After the recap, we'll get into the power rankings, top 10 power rankings. I actually got to move this chat over on this side so I can have there you go. That way it's easier for me to read what you guys are saying. So, okay. But yeah. So we're going to do the recap, top 10 power rankings. We haven't done that since week 5, I believe. So that's coming back. I wasn't able to make them last week for week 6. Just didn't have enough time to be able to put that together. But I do have the official Smitty top 10 power rankings today. Then we have the Madden 23. Oh, yeah, I said Madden 23. Then we have the big names. There's been a lot of re-signings of key players, especially for CPU teams. I'll just go down the list and talk about, who signed with who and what and things like that. Then after that, we'll go ahead and get a look at the week 7 schedule. And, I'll give my predictions on who I think is going to win. Obviously, my predictions are within the spreads, but I'll talk more and elaborate within the games. But appreciate you guys once again, as always, for being here. Let's go ahead and dive into week 6. All right, so we first opened up with a huge upset here. The Chicago Tigers. This has been a team with Coach Stein, who's, I love the enthusiasm, man. I love the energy. I love the support of his team, that some guys are giving here, because, this is a team still, in my opinion, I do not expect to be, a playoff team. With a win like this, if they could keep this going, do they have a shot? For sure. But the thing is consistency, and that's one of the big things that the Chicago Tigers just have lacked and has been lacking for years. This team definitely has the capability, in my opinion, to put up a great fight, and they have been able to do that for years. But they held it down here at home, at home in Chicago against the Diablos. I have a little bit of worries about the Diablos to an extent, because for one, if you look at their schedule, they're not facing the best of talent, right? They're facing, all competition in the RFL is pretty tough, but it's still not that's one of the more weaker end schedules that a team has in the RFL. And with the type of talent that the Diablos has, I mean, this should be a playoff season for sure, especially the way they open up the season. But the Chicago Tigers said, it's not going to be easy here. They get the win 20-10, absolutely shut down the once explosive offense of the Diablos. I mean, this team was putting up 40 points a game, and that was the senses where we were thinking, okay, the Diablos are back. Lane Kearney's clicking. This guy did not throw any interceptions before coming in this game, and he threw 3, and one of them going to the house for a pick 6, and things just got really dark for the Diablos as they had Lane Kearney's number, because we've seen, when they don't have the quarterback play working from last year, that's one of the main reasons they missed the playoffs. They have everything else. The defense is there, because even though they lost, and my bad, I'm bail myself for the score being flipped, but even though they lost this game, the Diablos have had very good defensive presence within their games, because you take away that pick 6, that's only one score given up by the Diablos defense. So the Diablos defense is handling business, right? But the offense, it was looking, like I said, surefire, but 2 losses now for the Diablos here, back to back. And of course, this is going to be a little bit more humbling, taking a loss like this, especially to the Chicago Tigers. I want to give a shout out, though, to the Tigers for getting this dub. And of course, Bryce Madden tearing it up on the ground. The Diablos couldn't stop the run game, though. That was one of the big things. They struggled to stop Bryce Madden. Bryce Madden, as we've heard from Coach Stein, if anybody's been paying attention to, things he's been, well, actually, I would know that because I can, see within his locker room. But he's been, saying that Bryce Madden deserves more of a role to be like the running back, the guy who's not just getting the power back formations, not just getting these little formation packages where he's getting maybe at best 10 carries a game, which he was kind of doing in the beginning with Terrence Ward. But now that that's not a factor and Madden is getting a majority of the carries, you could see the effects of him being able to get it done on the ground. I mean, this guy's breaking tackles easy. We already know he's been able to do that, but breaking off tackles, grinding out those yards you need, punching it in when he's got to near the goal line. So I mean, he's doing a phenomenal job, man. And Kai Cash, despite the rough struggle, I mean, at the end of the day, Diablo's defense, they do this, right? They have a great pass rush with their edge rushers. Their corners are very solid and pretty young. It's tough to be able to pass and make plays on this defense, but at the end of the day, Tigers did enough to get it done. So shout out to the Tigers once again, and we got to play the bell for the Diablos. Tough upset there. Both teams fall to 4-2 on the season. All right, let's move on to the next game, and this was the Armadillos and the Dreadnoughts. The Armadillos came into this 5-0, and the Dreadnoughts were 4-1. Dreadnoughts took their only loss to the Celtic Tigers earlier within the season, of course, and man, it was just the KJ show once again for the Dreadnoughts. I mean, this team has literally just needs 11 to be thrown the ball at any point, and he's going to make the play. And this has just been evident through the beginning and has been for actually years, because we've seen with the Dreadnoughts, with him, since having him on the roster since season 4, when he's targeted, when he's getting the ball, he's making plays. His rookie season, he had over 1,400 receiving yards, right? This kid had over 250 yards receiving in this game here with 264, 3 touchdowns, all within the first half, virtually unstoppable. And that was really the firepower of the Dreadnoughts throughout this game. The run game looked pretty good a little bit in the beginning of the game, but the Armadillos started to settle down, slow that down a bit, and then Cam Perkins, had a few fumbles within this game as well that helped the Armadillos be able to kind of flip things around more so towards the second half. And then Chumlee started to get it together, and those guys started to get it together in that second half to close the score. But they scored 35 points in that first half of play. The Dreadnoughts were leading pretty big, had a pick six taken to the house for a touchdown by Trey Sinclair. And so it was just a rough start for the Armadillos, but they battled back, only allowed 2 points in the second half, and that was off a safety. So a great second half effort, but could not recover from that pure dominant performance by the Dreadnoughts in that first half. And we see that a lot at times in the RFL. I mean, I think this is going to be a great game to watch again when they play each other for a second time. Armadillos, just no answers for Cam Jones, though. Got to be able to find that out next time, because if not, I mean, how are they going to be able to stop this team next time they play? Both teams sitting at 5-1, though, on the season. Armadillos no longer leading themselves. They're right underneath the Dreadnoughts. But these two teams right now, they're playing very well. They're playing very well. Still kind of shocked that the Dreadnoughts are doing this well, mainly because it's being done by Cam Jones, man. He is that much of an impact player. You only get a few players in the league that are that impactful that just them being on the team gets you wins. Think of guys like Jabreet Jackson, carrying teams by himself, 2K. Players like that. Cam Jones is solidifying himself as one of those players that literally just from him being on the team, they have a great chance of winning a game, or at least putting up a ton of points, even when nothing is there. So huge shout out to Cam Jones. Phenomenal player in the RFL, definitely raising up in terms of top wide receivers in the RFL. And, just got to keep this performance going. And I believe he will. I mean, 264 yards, that's just phenomenal. It doesn't matter what defense you're doing up against. I mean, the Armadillos don't have the greatest of cornerbacks, but at the end of the day, 264 and 3 touchdowns is 264 and 3 touchdowns. So shout out to Cam Jones. All right, now we move on to the premier games, and gotta play the bell for the Monarchs here. Not saying they get the bell for losing, but they do get the bell because they got blown out this bad. I mean, they lost by 35 points. The Steamers are that explosive, though. You know, it's not too shocking, but I expected, like many others, expected this to be more than likely the game of the week, and it's kind of a good thing this was not played in prime time, you know, with commentary, because this would have been a lot more salt in the wound for Coach Ramos and those Monarchs. I mean, obviously just could not get the job done here. The Steamers are showing, once again, these guys are back. And also, a stat line which is crazy right now, Reed Wagner has 22 touchdown passes in just 6 games. This guy is lighting it up through the air. He's leading the RFL, of course, in passing touchdowns. I believe he's also leading in yards, but I know for a fact the passing touchdowns, he is up there. 4 touchdown passes in this game, no interceptions, and I believe that was within the range too, if I'm not mistaken, and still was able to dominate the way that they did. Amir Williams, he's really starting to come into his own as a running back as well with the Steamers. You just see he didn't have a 100-yard rushing game at all in his rookie season, right? That's one thing he was striving for. Once he hit it, it just seems like he's continuing to strive to hit that consistently and is getting better and better as the season goes on. And being that first round talent that we expected him to be when he was drafted last season. And so I really love what Amir Williams is doing, and I believe that sets up a lot for the Memphis Steamers. Excuse me. That sets up a lot for the Memphis Steamers because the pass game has always been there. It's not a problem for this team to air it out. The issue now for teams defensively is you got to stop Amir Williams. If Amir Williams is making plays like this becomes a very dangerous offense to where there's no way you can stop them. Another 100-yard game. This was a pretty solid defense that the Monarchs got, and they just still could not contain him, could not contain these receivers, and they got it done. Could not run the football. Rhodes to only 26 yards on 10 carries. Dexter Roy tore it up, though, per usual. He's been one of the top tight ends in the league for years, and obviously showing that. And Preston Schrader had a really rough day there against that Steamers defense. It's just a young team. They're going to just do nothing but continue to get better and better as the years go on. So this Steamers team is very, very dangerous. Of course, the old veteran that leads the group is the quarterback, and you know, we would love to keep him around for as long as possible because he just meshes well with this entire team offensively, just better than anybody who's ever, of course, played for Memphis. And in my opinion, the top quarterback in the RFL right now, and that's without question. You look at that stat line, you look at his play, incredible. This is consistent too with Reed Wagner. He has his moments where he throws picks, but he's always going to throw for nearly 5,000 yards a season, 30 plus touchdowns easy, 35 plus touchdowns most times easy. He's already got 22. This guy's on pace to break the record, which was 49 thrown by Brady Hudson back in season 3. So, I mean, he's nearly thrown half of that in 6 games. So, man, shout out to Reed Wagner and the Steamers getting it done, killing the game right now. All right, moving on to the next premier game. Shout out to the Bisons, man, getting their first RFL win. These guys are sitting at 2-4. Of course, they got that auto win. These guys able to knock off the Bulls, who just recently came off a pretty big win. They were able to upset, I believe it was the Bulldogs. Yeah, they upsetted the Bulldogs just a week ago, and then they come here taking on the Bisons, and the Bisons, you know, rally together and get it done. Some solid defense. You saw a better play from Torres, no interceptions, so that's a huge up for him. Torres, 2 touchdowns, 254 yards, and you can see 43 passes, very efficient, 34 of those completed. Kadron Lusk, I mean, doesn't have the best average here. He's ran for over 100 yards. He's in the 3 yard per carry average range. But at the end of the day, you know, still was effective. Sam Hamgusto has been very effective since coming in back into onto the roster from injury, making a lot of big plays. Didn't have 100 yards or anything like that through the air, but 69 yards on 10 catches, 2 touchdowns, getting the job done. Wade played a different style of game. I mean, we saw him scramble which I think now he's a different type of archetype, which allows him to use his legs now. He was not doing that before. So we get a dual threat Devin Wade we get to see now. I believe that happened after his upgrade that he got. And so, you know, didn't have the best passing day in terms of yards, but he didn't throw the ball much. Only 22 passes, 180 yards, a touchdown. He also ran in the end zone for a touchdown to lead the team in rushing yards. He was tied up with David Jones as well. So, I mean, just a solid day. And look at this stat line, though. This is ridiculous. He only had 180 passing yards, right? But DeAndre McAvelli, his wide receiver, accounted for 141 of those. So only 39 yards of his other 13 completed passes were accounted for by other wide receivers. DeAndre McAvelli was eating the whole way around. Since I'm on here, Solo Dolo, let me go ahead and read some of these comments. He said the Steelers is playing on a whole different level. Wagner, yep, 20-plus touchdowns. We talked about that. Roy did have a good game, though. He definitely. He said he's passed. Yeah, that's another thing, too. Yeah, he passed Brady Hudson's career touchdown record. So he is the all-time leading touchdown passer in the RFL and still going. I think he's got many years left to play. And with those Memphis Steamers, I'm pretty sure Jones is going to make sure he does anything within his power to keep this guy on the roster and continuing to play the way he is. He said, what's your thoughts on Marquise Washington? We'll save some of these questions. Make sure to save some of these questions for later because I do want to make sure I pinpoint the game. We could save that type of question for, you know, after I go through everything else when we have the open question section. He said, Amir's going to be one of the best. Yeah, we talked about that. Samuel Augusto smoked us at the goal line. Yeah, he was a dog at the goal line, man. He's tough to cover, period. And he said 23-3. Yeah, I don't think we got to that game yet. Did that happen? Yeah, he's talking about the Lynch. Okay. Yeah, we haven't got to that game, but you already know Bells is coming, guys. Bells is coming. But, man, shout out to the Bisons, though, getting that win. They definitely needed it. All right, moving on. And y'all know I'm going to play the bell early for this one, man. Let's play the bell for those Sentinels. I already said I was going to talk trash to Tor and tell him he can't talk no trash throughout the rest of the season, even if I beat him once. I beat him twice with the Black Knights, man. How did this happen? Let's play another bell for the Sentinels. The Sentinels. The Sentinels taking 2 L's and getting swept by the Knights, man. This is just crazy. This is crazy. I mean, Langford Cloud killed it on the ground. And this guy's been a beat. Like, he's really killing. I don't know if anybody's paying attention to how well Langford Cloud is running the football, but despite the line, the dude is making plays. The dude is making tremendous plays on the ground, killing it. But yeah, Jacob McCall looking great. Had a touchdown pass. DWJ having it rough, man. He's really having it rough. This Black Knights defense is playing above expectations. I mean, I don't think nobody expected the Black Knights to even be competitive on the defensive side of the ball the way that they have been this year. And maybe it's just the way that the team is just meshing together. The whatever it is, I'm not touching it. The scheme fit, everything that's just making them play at their absolute best, because they are definitely playing at their absolute best. And this is how you bounce back from getting the worst blowout in RFL history. These guys just got blown out 55-6 by the Celtic Tigers. Then they come back here and hand the L off to the Sentinels again, 29-19. Got to play the bell again for those Sentinels. Sheesh. 4-2 the London Black Knights are. Very impressive. I did not expect this. These guys are battling every single game, of course, other than last week, but every single game, these guys are putting on their best performance and determined to win. Of course, we already know that's just been the mindset and style of Jacob McCall too. So fitting his players playing just like how I feel like he is and he would in real life based off his personality. So it's just cool to see the Black Knights succeed. One thing I will say here though for the Sentinels, hey, they won week 1 against the Bulls, and then after that, they have lost 4 straight RFL games. So I'm very concerned about the Sentinels right now because their schedule gets harder. It does nothing but get harder after this point. Like, so I don't know what to expect for the Sentinels. I tell you what, I don't think they make the playoffs. I just really don't. They got to play the Huskies this week. Man, and 4-game losing streak, you lose one more. That means you literally can't afford to lose one more game throughout the season. And they got more competition coming. They haven't even played the Black Knight, the Bulldogs yet, I don't believe. So if that's the case, man, as a matter of fact, let me look at this schedule. Well, I don't have I have my remote. Oh, here it is. I said remote like I'm 40-something years old, like a grandpa. I meant the controller. But yeah, in the meantime, while I'm waiting for my internet to load up, or whatever this is, I'll go and read it. Yeah, big bells, man. Sentinels got to take that. Sentinels. Sentinels. Yeah. Sentinels. Sheesh. Gotta come up with those slogans, man, when dudes taking those L's. All right, I'm in. Let me see. And since we do have, well, actually, I don't want to lose my place here. So I'll just tell you guys, just looking at the Sentinels schedule, because I really want to let you guys know, like, how tough it is going to be for the Sentinels this year, right? After taking the losses, the sweep to the Black Knights and everything else, the loss to the Red Dragons, they play the Huskies this week, as I talked about. After that, they play the Cougars, who are looking for revenge after, you know, their shutout. The Bulldogs, the Celtic Tigers, who obliterated the Black Knights, and if they couldn't beat them, that's going to be tough. But, you know, you never know. You can't always use that in consideration. Teams can always, you know, bounce back at some point, maybe, and divisional games can be a lot tougher. Then they get 2 auto wins. They come back and play the Celtic Tigers. Bye week, they play the Bulldogs. Auto win, and then they finish with the Bisons. So these guys do not catch a break until the final game of the season against the Bisons. And that is, man, I don't see the Sentinels doing it, man. 2 more losses, it's over for them pretty much in the play. I don't see them really clinching a spot at all. I think this will be the worst season for the Sentinels in franchise history, in my honest opinion. So, I mean, this is tough. This is a game you did not want to lose. Shout out to Jay Morris, though. You know, he ran with authority, had a nice long touchdown run within this game. But, you know, Black Knights just balling, man. Got to give another L to the Sentinels. I'll give another L. Sentinels. I like it, Frankie. We're going to roll with that. All right, so moving on. Salt Lake City L. I say City L's. They didn't take an L. They gave the L to the Snorks. So the Snorks are getting, I don't know what's going on here, man. This is a game, the Snorks, even though the Elks are undefeated, you can't lose this, man. You can't lose this game. And this is what I've been talking about with the Snorks, man. Take this bell because this team is too talented. It's too talented to be taking losses to teams like the Elks. And the Elks, don't get me wrong, shout out to my Elk guys who's in the chat, man, who's been believing. And a good season, potentially getting back to the playoffs. I mean, with this hot start, very much possible. So keep on rooting. I think there's a chance y'all get there this year. But man, you got to beat this team. You've got to beat this team. Joseph Gidley out here throwing 3 picks, 2 of them for pick sixes. These guys were up 10-0 at the start of this game, and then Joseph Gidley. 2 back-to-back picks to the same guy who's on this picture right now, Deshaun Abbas. Deshaun Abbas just making tremendous plays, but picked off twice on the curl route. And that really sparked everything for the Elks. The Elks are always a tough team to beat. I got to give a bell, of course, to the former coach of the Elks because I'm thinking, you know, I ain't going to say the name. If you know, you know. But how didn't you have this team look any better last year? You know, like, I'm not saying that now because of now, but like certain things he was doing, just, you know, this team could have been a lot better, and they're showing that right now. And they're looking pretty good. Latavian Worrell is doing his thing. He started out rough, got it together. Darius Martin is Himothy right now, I mean, on the ground, and he's killing it. The offensive line's doing a good job opening lanes for him, but even when it's not there, I mean, this guy is just grinding out, breaking tackles. getting yards, making plays. And DeAndre Mail only had 2 catches in this game, had a touchdown though, a long touchdown. As he caught the ball, it looked like it was, one-on-one jump ball situation, jumped up, boom, took it, and then foot race beat the defense. So Old Head still got some gas left in the tank. And yeah, I'm just extremely shocked. The Elks, I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think about the Elks right now? I don't think that this is a terrible team by any stretch of the imagination. At this point, you can't say that. We said that before the season started, but now that we saw what happened, the Elks are not a terrible team at all this year. So this is a very solid team. They do have talent, man. A lot of people, we're talking about the age and things like that, and based off of what happened last year, but they still have decent amount of talent to be able to hang with teams, and they've hung with every team they've played so far, and some solid ones. They beat the Diablos. I know that they just lost to the Tigers, but still the Diablos are hot. They just knocked off the Snowhawks. They beat the Wizards. These are some pretty solid opponents that they're beating here. So, man, I'm going to ask you guys, do you think the Elks make the playoffs this year? It's going to be tough, but I kind of think they do. And if anything, if you guys want to take it a step further, comment in the chat. Do you think they win the West? Because, they just knocked off the Snowhawks, who were the favorites to try to win it this year. And, we've looked at the Crusaders. They've looked pretty good, but after we're going to get into their game, they almost lost the game. And then, the Condors, we really don't know too much about them yet. We haven't seen too much play, but there has been some lackluster play in games for them already this season. So, if anything, it looks like the Elks are the front runners for the West this season. That's just based off of my observations on how they've been playing up to this point. 31-16 over the Snorks. That's a great win, man. That is a great victory for the Hawks. Not for the Hawks. Not at all for the Hawks. They're the bell for the Hawks, but it's a great victory for the Elks. Great win. They improved to 6-0. Snowhawks fall to 4-2. All right, let's play the bell for the Pioneers. Because I'll tell you one thing, even though, it's expected for the Red Dragons, they should beat the Pioneers, right? Red Dragons look like they're starting to play football the way they're supposed to. And shout out to Anthony Savoy, 5 touchdown passes. 5 touchdown passes, no interceptions. That's great to see. But again, and I don't want to take anything away from the Pioneers because, or say anything, contradictory from years prior, because I do still feel like the Pioneers got themselves a pretty okay team. Their defense, the offense has been struggling this year. Just Tom Allen just has not been able to really get it going. He's played some pretty tough opponents, and 4 interceptions thrown in this game, not a single touchdown. But it's the Red Dragons. That's what they do. He's faced defenses like this all year, and it just seems like that's just what's happening right now. He's just facing up against the top talented defenses, and he's just not performing. The run game is there a little bit. This is a 3.1 yard per carry average, I would have to say, for Tomlinson. He was their leading receiver. This just goes to show you what the defense was doing out there, right? And the offense of the Red Dragons, as long as Savoy's on, the team's on offensively. That's what they need to win games. Anthony Savoy balling, making great decisions, good throws. He was 30 of 36 in this game, so it's highly accurate. And he walks out of this one 45-13. Not really too much to say here. Just the defense doing what it's supposed to do. Savoy doing what it's supposed to do. And this is how you get your get back for week 1, taking an L to the Pioneers. And it just seems like these guys just always have that splitting rivalry regardless. So just a great rivalry, I'd have to say, still to watch in the RFL. But big dubs for the Red Dragons here as they win by 32 points. Moving on, Shamrocks and Thunderbirds. It's the old school NRC North division rivalry game. If you can go back and watch those division rivalry games back from season 1, I say all the way up to season 4 is when we did the realignment. So up to those 4 seasons, I believe it is, Shamrocks and Thunderbirds used to be in the same divisions, and the Shamrocks actually used to give the Thunderbirds a run for their money. So, that's a pretty interesting history if you didn't know about it. Last time they played was in season 6, and the Thunderbirds narrowly defeated the Shamrocks 24-21. They put up the same amount of points here, but the defense showed out. I mean, literally 3 points. This team has only allowed 9 points in 2 RFL games, but that's what's to be expected with the Toronto Thunderbirds. Nothing really too much to say here. There was good moments for Tom Wilson, it seemed. Throwing, he was moving the ball down the field, but, you can't score. None of that matters. They were getting down the field a little bit, seemed good, but instant stop. This team can stop you at any moment. Shout out to Devontae Sharkley, too, getting his first, getting himself another RFL win. He didn't get in the end zone. Still looking for his first 100-yard game through the air, but he was close. 5 catches for 85 yards. His last RFL game, which was his first RFL game in week 1 against the Barons, he had 80 yards in that one. So better performance for him winning here on his birthday, on that day on March 4th. But yeah, nothing really too much to say here. Nothing too much to say here at all. Some great catches. I like what I saw out of Levi March, though. I will say that. I like what I saw out of the Shamrocks defense, too. Do not get it twisted. The Shamrocks defense has definitely improved this year. Every single game that they have played in, they're playing really good. Not going to lie. I mean, they give up points and stuff. They kind of fold towards the end, but they come out strong. They can send a great blitz, and they can apply great pressure to the quarterbacks, can cover pretty well, and you can just see the difference. It's always been the offense carrying this team. The offense is still there. Unfortunately, not against the Thunderbirds, though. But the defense, this game could have got out of hand if it wasn't for, how the defense showed up strong kind of in the beginning. But then towards the end, of course, didn't get the help with the points. And they just tailored off and ended up, losing this one by 21. So big win there. Thunderbirds 6-0. Shamrocks 3-3. All right, the Houston Voyagers and the Miners. This game was shocking because at first it just seemed like, okay, Voyagers, they got this in the bag, man. It's over. Hang it up. Miners came back, though. These guys came back, tied the game up, and the Voyagers had to put together a last-minute drive to kick the field goal and win the game 31-28. I love what I'm seeing from the Miners, and more in particularly, I love what Miles McCain is doing. You can clearly see this kid getting better every single game. I think he's the clear-cut runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year, which is going to help him out tremendously. And I mean, even though he doesn't have much competition in the conference at all, for that, I mean, it's not like he's not still playing good football, though. I mean, look at this performance. He had his first 300-plus yard passing performance against the Voyagers defense. That says a lot. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's been taking very, very good care of the football. You love to see it. And he was still able to get his team back despite not having a run game, which is common when you play the Voyagers. This team is very good at stopping the run. The Miners really haven't done too well running the football at all this year. And I tune in to podcasts all the time that take place, from our coaches and things like that. I heard Dunn talking about his offensive line, and that's kind of where I feel like it lies, and also who he's playing. The Voyagers is going to shut down the run. They're just going to do that. Very good, talented players that's going to be able to fill the gaps. Damani Manuel or Torres, none of those dudes are really going to be able to have space, to break off or do anything, and that's what happened. And he said that his offensive line is more tailored. He's been developing this line to be more of a pass-protecting line for Miles McCain rather than a run-blocking, run it down the defense's throats style of offensive line. And, that's kind of been showing. I mean, you can see through the upgrades and certain things like that. That's the approach that he's taken, and it looks like it's paying off in the pass game. It really does. And Miles McCain's doing a great job making faster decisions. But the run game, that can develop later on. You really want it to develop as fast as possible. But, I mean, right now you got yourself a little remedy going. The offense is looking solid throwing the football. Miles McCain, 50-plus passing yards. That's still a lot. 50-plus pass attempts. Still a lot of throws. But at the end of the day, he's getting the job done. And you got to give, a shout-out to him, man. Shout out to Miles McCain. He's been playing well. Glenn Hay, 3 touchdowns. Now, he's been kind of uncharacteristic this season with the interceptions. It's been kind of tough for him, but he cut down on that. He had 1 interception in this game. but still over 350 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, got it done. Run game wasn't too much going for them either. So the run game on both sides was just dead. But the passing game was the name of the game in those matchups. All right, and then we get to our last game of the week. And I got to bring the bell out, man. Bell for the Lancers. They just cannot catch a break, man. They can't catch a break. They can't catch a break at all. Before I dive into that, I see you said thoughts on Hunter. Hunter was balling. I like the way Hunter is balling, though, for the Voyagers. He just came out of nowhere, is killing it. Baker's doing a great job of using players that really weren't too much of a factor elsewhere and bring out their best talents, because he's also doing the same thing for Trent Williams, a wide receiver that was once with the Lancers, didn't do anything there. Tigers didn't do anything there, and now he's working the slot and being moved around in the formation, making plays. So, and shout out to Baker for what he's doing out there with those players. And you could clearly see he knows how to coach in this league. You can clearly see that. But again, let's play the bell though for the Lancers stuff. Tough. This is tough. This team going into the fourth was up by 20 points. It was 23-3. Okay. Just thinking of that, I got to play another bell. I play another bell. I mean, you're up heavy. Cole McAnley not only Cole McAnley, I'll talk about other players who got re-signed and stuff like that. But long story short, a lot of Lancers were re-signed and got that check. All right. So a lot of the star players, including Cole McAnley, who turned up in this game with 2 interceptions, got paid. They were balling out. Fourth quarter just fell apart. At the worst possible moments, you can see Trey Mason threw for over 300 plus yards. They were really doing a good job passing the ball down the field with those wide receivers, those trees on the outside. They can make some plays. John Johnson and Trey McClellan. Trey McClellan's the younger one who's really taking his game up to that next level. But the run game didn't even run the ball much at all. Only 8 times with D'Amico Brewer. Only 35 yards there, but Hobbs was eating. We saw Marlon Marshall still continuing to eat it up on the ground. 4-yard per carry average, got in the end zone for a touchdown. And Wakefield doing Wakefield things, man. Wakefield just coming out here doing Ben Wakefield things. Coming out here throwing 3 interceptions, looking terrible. All the game's over. At times Wakefield does have his moments where you're like, man, why did he throw that interception, or why did he make this play? But hands down, you can't deny this is an elite quarterback in the RFL easily. And he showed that. And despite all the 3 interceptions and bad plays, decisions he was making throughout this game, and shout out to the Lancers, because their defense was actually playing really good and covering well, which is something they have not done at all this season up to this point. But Wakefield delivers clutch. He finished out this game through the game-winning touchdown drive, and there they go, winning by 1 point, 24-23. And this helps out the Crusaders as well, because they go to 4-2. They're competing for the West. The West is a division you really want to pay attention to. There's a lot of divisions you do want to pay attention to in the RFL this season. But if you're looking at the NRC, one of the most competitive divisions right now is the NRC West, with the Snowhawks, Crusaders, Condors, and I don't know why I'm blanking on the other one. Snorks, Crusaders, Condors, and I don't know why it's slipping my mind. Elks, yeah, obviously they're 6-0. So yeah, those are the teams. That goes to show you, man, it's shocking that they are undefeated at this point. Forgot all about them being there. And so they're 4-1. Lancers haven't won an RFL game yet. 0-5. This is tough. This is tough for this team, because there's been, I'd say, 3 games already out of those 5 that they could have won, should have won, and they just didn't. And another one that they let slip away from them. They let that slip away from them. And hopefully this doesn't affect them, going, at least they knew they can compete. They can compete. Hopefully this doesn't affect them too long throughout the season. These guys need a win to help boost up their morale. But good fight nonetheless. But that's it for the game recaps. 24-23, the final score there. Week 6 in the books, and now we're heading into week 7. But before we get into that, and before I show you guys the big re-signings that's taken place so far, at least for the CPU teams, because I thought, Bill and Rob, since they can't join tonight, I'm going to just go through the CPU team resigns and the coach. A coach, and if you got any resigns, you can go ahead and tell that in the chat or whatever it is, or save it for a post if you're planning on that. But I'm just going to go through it by conference after the top 10 power rankings. But let's get a look at these top 10 power rankings. We haven't had one for 2 weeks. Last time we had one was week 5. Week 6 didn't have one, and so we only missed it for a week. And here we go. This is the new top 10 power rankings, and it was kind of different because with that extra week, I really had to think about where to place these teams. And this is what we got. Week 7, top 10 power rankings. The top 3 stayed the same. Columbus Explorers at 1, Thunderbirds 2, Steamers at 3. Moving up to 4 is the Voyagers. We have the Celtic Tigers at 5, Huskies at 6, Cougars 7, Aviators 8, Bulldogs 9, and Dreadnoughts crack in the top 10 at 10. As you see, Cam Jones gracing the cover there. So they've been placed there because, at the end of the day, if you could just win a game or keep your team that competitive, just throwing up a ball to this kid, Dreadnoughts can battle it out with anybody. To be honest, OJ has not disappointed yet. He has not disappointed. He's getting the ball to his playmaker. He knows who to throw the ball to. He's not hesitating to think about it. He's not making extra, boneheaded decisions. He's doing what he knows is there, taking the shot and making the plays, and it's paying off for the Dreadnoughts right now at 5-1 on the season. So, shout out to the Dreadnoughts getting there in the top 10. But just my thought process in terms of, I did think I in my opinion, it's kind of even 50-50 between the Voyagers and Celtic Tigers. Celtic Tigers, of course, they had a blowout win over the Black Knights, but it's the Black Knights, But the Celtic Tigers have been looking fire. The Voyagers have more losses. They took 2, but I'm gonna still give them the benefit of the doubt, of course, because they went to the Relo Bowl, and we'll see, how things goes on. They're looking very good still right now, so we'll see how that goes. The Huskies obviously showing now. This is a team that should technically be 6-0 at this point. They lost their 2 games lost have a combined spread of just 4 points. They lost to the Aviators by 3, and then they literally lost on the final second, the last play of the game, to the Armadillos by 1 point, 28-27. And so outside of that, though, they've been winning. They've been dominating. They're making plays. They got back with the Aviators and made the split. They won back by 3 points, and now they're, getting some auto wins coming up. They're having some more matchups that are definitely in their favor. So, it looks like this could be the year the Huskies get back to the playoffs since season 4. They have not been to the playoffs since season 4, and that's when they won the Relo Bowl. So this is a big year as expected, and they're delivering right now. But the goal is to get to the playoffs, and I think this team can do it. And so they're up there at 6. Cougars obviously got to be below the Huskies at this point after that loss they took from them. They just fall down, I believe, a spot from the 2 weeks prior. Aviators, they were at 9. They moved up now to 8. Really haven't had too much going on despite the loss to the Huskies. The Huskies are a higher ranked team. And when I look at the rest of the teams, I still feel like the Aviators got some I'm not going to say their talent's the greatest, but with Marquise Washington and 2K alone, these guys winning games, So I give it to them at 8. And then the Bulldogs are falling down, man. They're falling down because, they took 2 tough losses, man. 2 very tough losses. And now they're sitting at 9th. I still feel like they're a very talented team. At any point, this team can come around and get it together. It's too good. It's too good to be free-falling. And I'm not saying they're doing that now. It's still early within the season. There's only 2 losses. But right now, you got the Celtic Tigers out ahead in the division by 2 games. Who else is in there? Black Knights are at 4-2. They play them this week. They have a better record than them. But I guess you could say that because the Bulldogs haven't had an extra game yet. So they had a bye week. So we don't know what they would have done in their next game. But we're going to see against the Black Knights. That's a must win for the Bulldogs. Of course, we'll get to that. And then as for the Dreadnoughts, I mean, like I said, I looked at other teams, and this is tough to say. I know where my Elk guys at. I know the Elks are probably looking at this and saying like, how are the Elks 6-0 and not on this list? I would say I got them at 11, because to be honest, you know, they've had some impressive wins. Don't get me wrong, they've had some impressive wins, but now I just compare them. I can't put them anywhere above the top 9 guys. Where I was battling out was between the Dreadnoughts and them. And to be honest, like I said, they're doing good, but I feel like if they were to go head to head, the Dreadnoughts will be the better team. They have a better chance of winning. If they were going to playoffs, certain things like that, if it was a start out. So I just gave them the nod right now because I feel like at 5-1, yeah, Elks are 6-0, but they still have to prove that they're that good, in my opinion. Still have to prove that they're that good and continue to win on. So they're sitting right at 11, maybe 12 or something. Maybe might have been another team there. But yeah, you said who's your 11 through 15? I don't do the whole 32 like Forbes and those guys were doing. But if I would say 11, let me see, because I got the list here. I was looking at things. Let me see. So on the NRC side, Diablos will still be somewhere within the 11 through 15. Elks are in the 11 through 15, so that's 2 teams. I had to add 3 more. Let me see who else. Crusaders are looking good too. Despite that close loss, it just shows you just how explosive that team is. Yeah, this would probably be a question better saved for the end. But let me just check the ARC real fast. Armadillos. Oh, yeah. Armadillos for sure. Armadillos actually might be 11. Yeah. I would put the Armadillos at 11. Elks at 12. Let me see. Diablos. Where I put them? I would still put the Diablos. I'll put them at 13. Yeah. Riverhogs 14. And if I need one more team, what would that be? Crusaders. Crusaders. There's my list right there. That's my 15 if I had to go through. And that's just off the top. Not too much looking through things, but yeah. All right, so that's our top 10 power rankings. He said he probably has Elks and Diablos. Yeah, definitely in there. All right, now let's go ahead and I'm in the ARC file now, and I'm just going to announce some of the huge player resigns because for the CPU teams, you guys know I've been busy. It's been tough for me to resign some guys because of the time and other things that I'm doing, but I found time this week and did a lot of re-signing. And so you're going to be shocked. There's a couple guys on here that's going to be staying with their teams for a minute. We're in the ARC first. Let's go ahead and get a look at it. All right. So here we go. I'm only going to talk about big name guys. The Bulls, and let them, that's their team. I'm going to just go through the CPU teams. Unless I see something else that, big name guy that maybe a coach has, since it's already getting revealed, they'll post about it anyway. But Joseph Torres, man, signed him to a 5-year deal worth $159 million. He said he wanted to come back, be an OKC Bison, and there he is, $159 million at the quarterback position. I know guys are concerned about his play and like, man, how can you pay this guy who hasn't shown any, consistency or anything yet? I think he's shown enough growth compared to where he was. It's still very inconsistent, but he's better, and he's only 23. All right, he's only 23 years old. He's going to do nothing but get better from this point on. He's an 84 overall. He's going to get better, man. He's going to get better, and I can see him being one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the future, to be honest. So, definitely would not let this guy just hit the free agency market. Sign the guy, keep him on the team, keep developing him. And this is him coming fresh off of his rookie deal. So 5 seasons there, coming back with the Black Knights. excited to sign this guy back too, Sam Gusto. You already see his impact back. At first, I actually had him on the trade block because I was considering moving on from him just to add more pieces, draft picks wise or things like that for the Bisons. But the more I thought about it, I looked at their receivers. The rest of them are pretty old. He's 29. He's got 4 years left in him. You know, we see London Lions at 33 years old still balling and mid-80s overall, you know, and, you know, he's a 90-plus overall right now, going to be 30 next year. He's 29 right now. So we signed him 4-year, $93.6 million contract. So Sam Gusto is going to be a mentor wide receiver for those young wide receivers that they got on the team. And they got some solid guys. Remember, they drafted Chris Harris. They got Tyler Simpson, who's a good little slot guy who we'll see, you know, coming up, and things like that. So they got some guys that are going to be developing, getting a lot of playing time next year. So look out for them. Jeremiah, not a big name there. Cooper, he's a good tight end. Got a lineman getting signed back here. Yonder. AJ Pestock. AJ Pestock was 29 years old. Of course, you got to re-sign this guy if you're going to make the trade for him, right? Even though the trade could have just been just to have that playoff push, but he's 29. You know, he's just like Samuel Gusto. Sign this guy back, and you know he's an X factor. He's high 80s. I think he's 89 overall. Naturally, and of course with boosts that you'll get with schemes and fits, he's in the 90s. Hopefully he doesn't regress much after this season. So it's like, you know, this was a easy no-brainer. Just got to sign this guy back. 3 years worth $35.1 million. So that was actually pretty. What was that? 10 mil, 11 mil, 11.5 mil or something like that a year. So you said I feel like Hudson Johnson contract was a steal. Did I pass him? Oh, he's right here. Yeah. Hudson Johnson definitely was a steal. This dude's a dog. Coming back for 4 yards. I said 4 yards for 4 years and $29.2 million contract. We got some good re-signing back for these CPU teams, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we got some good players. Like, even this lineman, the Huskies guys, you know, with the way they perform, they just like all of them are just about green. Like, yo, I'm gonna come back. So it was pretty easy to sign these guys back. And we got some good names. Looking at this, let's see, we got not a known name there. Signed a couple of young guys there, Rainey and Deshaun Mullins. Brody Mitchell, a young tight end. You know, we got Mike Strongley there, but he's getting older. He's 29 right now, and this could be a young guy to fill in until, you know, either he could be that next guy up after him or fill in for the next guy who gets drafted in the future or something like that to come back. I like this guy, Brian Reed. He signed to 2 more years back to the Celtic Tigers. He was picked up out of free agency last year before we cut off the NFL players, and he was very young and very solid playmaker. And definitely can see him taking over for Levon Wilkins after he retires. He's already 30 years old, getting already for sure going to be below an 80 at the end of this year. I'm sure of it. So he's a good guy that's going to be able to fill in. Very young. I think he's 23 right now. He's going to be 24. So he's got some time to develop. Fisher Owens, a good linebacker. Guys, looking at that. Cam Rux getting signed to a 3-year deal, $18 million from his rookie contract. This was a great slot corner you see coming. DJ Burrow's been there since season 1. Older guy. He's a beast right now, but his time's going to come. And I think he's on contract year, so we're going to let him walk. And since we're going to let him walk, we're going to have Cam Jones fill in, be that slot guy. Very excited to sign this guy back. Michael Afriye, another young guy. He's 25. 4 years will happen until he's 29. Another contract that's pretty solid here, man. I mean, $29.6 million contract here for a beast of a linebacker. And this guy is a dog. Very fast, and he's doing nothing but getting better. And I was too hyped for this signing right here. Matt Niani, 3-year contract, was able to sign that. At first, he was kind of like, nah, and declining. But I had the last shot at him, and he took this for 97.5, which he's worth, man. I mean, this guy's just a beast, man. Deserves to get his money. 3 more years there with Justin Jones, even if he starts taking those regressions hits, which should be slower because he's going to be an X-factor wide receiver, still showing that. He's going to make those plays out there for him. And it's great to have that type of wide receiver to boost that confidence that you have in Justin Jones, where you just see him taking those shots down the field. There's times where ain't nothing there. What's Justin Jones going to do? He's already programmed. Hey, I'm going to Matt Niani. That's the guy. And he bombs it, makes it work. Really glad to get Tyrus Wiley back. This is one of the best kickers in the RFL. He can knock these down from just about any distance. And got him back for 3 years on the contract. Mahmoud Ajilani, he was traded from the Riverhogs, and now he's on a 4-year deal worth $30.8 million. 8 million. And this kind of solidifies the Celtic Tigers cornerback core, because we also signed Kilo Austin to a 5-year deal worth $86.5 million. So the cornerback core is straight. I remember this team was shot at cornerback, and drafted back-to-back first-round corners. You got him. You got blanking on the one that came from Penn State, who's also great on the outside. He's the counterpart of Kilo Austin. But we got him still on a rookie contract. Traded, of course, for Mahmoud Ajilani. He's young. All these guys are 25 years or younger. So good to have a solid cornerback to look forward to for years to come for the Celtic Tigers. Going to be tough to pass on that, helping out the defense. This is Bull stuff. All right. I think that's all I did. This looks like all coach stuff. Yeah. It's all coach stuff for Resigns. This is going back to week 2, week 3, and all that stuff. All right. So let's go into the NRC side. Coaches, if you got anything that you want to, you said, hope you under that cap. Oh, yeah, I'm under that cap. I know what I'm doing. Let's see. Thunderbirds. Yeah, wasn't I just? Yeah, I was looking at the Celtic Tigers. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of bread on CT right now. All right, transactions. Let's see what the resigns are in the NRC file. All right, it's coached. They got Charles getting the punter back. We did it, guys. Jabri Jackson is officially re-signed back to the Gunners for 2 more years. We don't got a round of applause, but I'm clapping, because that was one of the main things I was worried about. These guys had a lot of money actually left over, so I don't know what the consensus was at first about him not being able to get re-signed back. He did ask for less, because at first he was asking for 50 mil a season, 2 years. He lowered it down to extra 10, so he's at 90.6 mil. But Jabri Jackson will be a Gunner for 2 more years, and that's great, because now that'll extend him up until he's 34. He's already a beast of a quarterback. Of course, this is a tough season for him right now, given the team situation. But at first we thought this was gonna be a team without Jabri Jackson. Now he's back, and they still got a lot of banks still left, which we could attack during the draft. Made a trade earlier, traded away Tavares Golson, and now with Tavares Golson traded away, they got 2 second-round draft picks, so they have saved their draft capital with that move. Obviously, after that loss to the Shamrocks, I don't think they at this point. I don't see these guys making a playoff appearance. We still got the rest of the talent there, so we're still going to fight. But Golson, on the older end of his deal, traded him off to a different conference over there with the Bulls, and got that value back with the younger guys we could pick within that, because they weren't going to pick until the 3rd round. And now that we know we got Jabri Jackson back, who knows? Might not even have to draft a quarterback. We use that elsewhere, because if he's going to be there for 2 years, that's already set in stone. That's good. We got Zeke Pruitt, who at first, he's a 64 overall. His spot was definitely going to be in question after this year if we did not get Jabri Jackson back. So I don't see me now drafting a quarterback within those rounds, but it really depends on what Pruitt does, and he's got to be more active. He's got to get more reloads. If he works on building that up a little bit more, I'm not saying I won't draft a 2nd-round quarterback. It depends on who's left, who's there. I still might, but I feel like we can attack other areas with those picks and get a quarterback later for that competition of the future. But as long as we got Jabri to hold us down for 2 more years there in Houston, we got time. Tyrone Green, the backup quarterback, was re-signed. He's the backup for Tom Wilson. So he signed a 3-year, $10.2 million contract. I was trying to get Tom Wilson to sign back, so that's a storyline. Tom Wilson did not accept the first contract given, and I'm gauging just to see what's going on, because there's a chance that he could hit the market because he's asking for quite a bit, as he should, but there's a lot of scenarios also around it. So Tom Wilson, could be even potentially put up on the block for trade. I don't think anybody is going to reach out for him anyway. So we'll see. Somebody could. But Tom, we got the backup quarterback sign, one of the young wide receivers, a few guys here. Rolling with the Shamrocks for 4 years, buddy. 4 years. 4 years, $118 million contract. It was tough, man. This guy didn't want to come back, but I was look, man, we got to throw Woods the money. Woods got to get the money. He got to come back on this team. And yeah, we got him. I do feel like we'll get Wilson back, though, to be honest. If not, Woods is going to be a great wide receiver for whoever else has to come in and make that happen. So, yeah, shout out to Woods for that. And I know the whole situation with him, this does suck with the timing, but there is no way I'm letting this guy slide off if he's not a coach anymore at the end of this season and just go somewhere else just because. I'm like, nah, gotta sign Roland Woods. 4-year contract's up. Get another 4 years, buddy. We're welcome to Dublin. Welcome back to Dublin, I could say. Cameron Ross, we were able to sign him to a 5-year, $29 million deal. So I think that was a pretty solid contract for the type of corner he is and his potential. We got a lineman back, Wheeler. Yeah, these are nothing much going on here. Backup tight end was able to sign. He was young. Tyrone Johnson, got him back. 4-year, $80.8 million contract. Let's see what else we got going on here. Jericho McBride. It's just a bunch of young guys you could check into if you watch the RFL and know about it. About some of these guys. Yeah. There's a big name. We got Tyler Conley back with a defensive end, very young defensive end for 4 years, worth $38 million for the Desperados. Definitely need to keep those young pieces there. I think the Desperados, like, even though the team overall wise isn't that good, so you might want to check DM. What you talk about here, Frankie? Oh my God. Yeah, we're gonna have to definitely check that out. I see. Oh, what? This must have been after re-signing, because I just seen he re-signed new guys now, so he had the money. Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild. He's gonna have to drop somebody off if that's the case. That's gonna suck big time. Might even be the guy he traded for after this year. Let's see. You got this lineman back. Somebody was just about to make a deal too for this lineman. He's 28. I probably would have traded him, but I already signed him back at like literally hours before I was reached out for a trade for Mitchell. I think it's Bacais. Let me stop trying. Mitchell P. We're gonna call him Mitchell P. I would sing this song, but I'm not rocking with Gunna right now. Let's see. We got Zach Forrest back. That's a good one. Signed a fullback back. He's pretty good fullback here. All right, so the NRC got a lot of re-signs. Enrique Pons, we were to get back. Nicholas Jenkins, excited about that. He's a great young linebacker. Signed him to a 4-year deal. Worth $15.2 million, man. That's cheap for this guy, because he balls. We got Patrick Shivers back. He's another young guy. It's another big name. Elijah Bentley, signed him to a 2-year contract worth $44.6 million. Definitely worth it. Mentor wide receiver is going to help out the guys there. I mean, when you look at this roster, let me see. I'm looking at the Crusaders. I'm gonna go to the Crusaders real fast on this sheet that we got. because they got some pretty good wide receivers, man. We keep him around for development to help mold these wide receivers with that extra XP. This is, that wide receiving core is going to continue to be dangerous. Because right now, yeah, Elijah Pentley's 32 years old. He's an X-Factor wide receiver and playing like it, so I doubt he loses it. If anything, maybe he could go down. Well, it depends. We'll have to see, but I doubt he loses that. Then we have Alexander Colt, who's just 24 years old. He's at 85 at the time the sheet was made. I think he's higher than that now. It might be at 86. Just drafted Tip Soto. We already know what he did in college, the speed that guy got. He's only 21 years old, going to be a beast. Drafted Braden Dunn the year before. He's 22, 71 overall right now. And in the rest, we got, if anybody remembers Andre Rose, he's a 69. So we definitely got some good wide receivers on this team still for Ben Wakefield to throw to for some years. So that was huge. Nomando McRath, we just signed him back because we need another corner. He's not all half bad, but he's not all that great either. Marquise Washington got signed back. The cornerback Marquise Washington, 3-year deal. What else we got here? Sankey was a good sign back. Bowman. Malcolm Smith he's a very solid young tight end as well. Robinson, Seth Fisk. Okay, then we go to the Lancers. This is where we had some big contracts here. John Copey, we signed him back for 16 mil. He's a great backup because we're about to get rid of the starting running back. Let me see. I'm pulling up that sheet again so I can see the roster without having to go all the way to the file section. Yeah, so Rashad Gary's 31. He's 85 overall. He's not been playing at all this season because we've just been giving all the reps to D'Amico Brewer. Hasn't been going too good for the rookie, I'm not going to lie. Hasn't done too well with his opportunities, but we're just going to keep grounding and pounding it with him. Hopefully, it clicks and he gets better at some point. But his backup with John Copey for 4 more years, that's going to be a very good backfield. Antonio Corrigan, young corner. Let's see how old he was. He's 23, and he's a 78 overall. So a lot of potential here. Sign him for 4 more years. That's going to help out the cornerback core. We got to wait for that to develop because that's one of the struggling areas of this team right now. Keelan Hubbard, young linebacker, still around. Same deal with Tyrone Anderson. We talk about these corners of the Lancers, which is tough. But at the end of the day, I think it's just because they're young. They're young, and because of them being young, they are a little bit slow. So that's a little bit of the problem. We can go ahead and draft some faster guys, but they're just young and they're going to get better. And they're just getting, pooped on right now by other teams when it comes to passing. And see Eric already in the chat. Norman is back, able to sign him for 2 more years worth $41 million. This is huge for the Toronto Thunderbirds, man. They definitely needed that because if he was to walk the linebacker core, yes, we drafted Daniel Severio, who, of course, I think still would have filled in pretty nicely. Of course, would have had to work still to get anywhere near that level a lot. But now that's a whole nother year of mentorship, XP, great linebacker play, X-Factor linebacker. Like, 2 more years with this guy is great for this defense. They needed that. They needed that big time. So they got him back, and then they signed back DeAndre Boyd for a year here at lineman. And look at this. This was the contract guys were talking about. Cole McGinley. I was on the phone with this guy when we did this. 7 years, $158 million contract, the second highest paid safety. And you guys already know who the first one was. But, man, shout out to C-Mac, man. Got it done. And then after this deal, money talk. This dude went out and got 2 interceptions in that game, and they still lost it, unfortunately. But Cole, he's going to be a 99 overall safety. Hands down, without a doubt. You got to pay the bag for this guy, right? And it's not like, to me, in my personal opinion, safety doesn't make too much of an impact. I think that's one of the last positions that you would have to really enforce. That's just my opinion when I look at, the way we play the game and what you really need, which is kind of what I'm doing with the Thunderbirds right now with Jeffrey Colvin. He's doing just fine. He doesn't need to be the highest overall. He can still get the job done. That's really what I mean by that. But C-Mac's a different breed. He's been making impact plays really since he's been drafted, and he's more than just a free safety. You know, he can play strong. He's getting picks. He can be in the box. No problem. Blitzes, dude can do everything. And so he's worth the money. Definitely worth the money. And I was excited to get this guy signed back. I mean, he's 23 years old. This guy's staying the long haul till he's 30, you know? And so like, yeah, man, I'm just excited. I'm excited. I can't even say enough because, like I said, we talk like the Lancers are having a really bad season right now, but I feel it's just because at the start. We've seen this happen to teams. We've seen this happen to teams like the Wizards. We've seen this happen to teams like the Diablos last year, the Steamers last year. You know, when you get out to a bad start, especially when you play tough comp like the Lancers did, and you start out 0-4 just like that, you know, that momentum starts to crush. And if you look at this Lancers team, this team is by no means a joke. They are a very good team. They're just not winning right now. They should have won last night even. Look at that. Look how they fell apart there. So, you know, I don't think this season is reflective at all of the potential that the Lancers have. These guys get some good solid cornerbacks, or at least just wait for these young guys that's outside right now to develop and get a little bit faster. This is a playoff team easy, just like it was a season ago, you know? So, you know, just a rough year for them. We got Trey McClellan back, another dude I'm excited to sign back, because if you haven't been watching Trey McClellan playing football with the Lancers, this dude is John Johnson 2.0. John Johnson 2.0. I'm telling you, Trey is mossing everybody. Don't matter what type of coverage you got on him. This kid, I think he's just 24. Let me see. Yeah, he's just 24 years old. It says he's a 79 right now from when this sheet was made, but he's in the 80s now, I believe. And yeah, even when he was a 79, 78 last season, he was bagging people with no problem. You would have thought he was a mid-80s, high 80s wide receiver. And definitely needed to sign him back, so that's great. Explosion. Signed Joaquin Gonzalez. He was the best kicker of the year a few seasons ago to a 5-year deal. Very young kicker, strong leg. Same deal with Tyrus Wiley I talked about with the Celtic Tigers on that re-sign. So got the GOAT kicker back there for the Lancers. And then we got Chase Schilling. I had him on the block, but I just offered him because I forgot. I was like, hold up, this guy is 28, ain't he? So he's still young. Still young enough to still play at a high level. And like I said, this team is failing right now to win games, but the team still is talented. They still have great players. And I needed to get Chase Schilling back. And we were able to do that. 3 years, $57 million. So I think that might be all the signings for the CPU teams that I have here. Yeah, because this moves into week 3 and all that. So, yeah, those are all the big re-signs in the RFL for CPU teams. Coaches, you see me go through some coach teams. Coaches will post about theirs. They can talk about it in the chat right now if they want to, anything like that. I won't go through it, though, because that'll be it there. And we're going to go ahead and move into the final topic, and that is the season, the week 7 schedule. All right, let's give my predictions. Like I said, it's only me on this podcast, so I'm gonna go more in depth on who I think is going to win and why. The spreads are exactly who I think is going to win, who I predict to win. Excuse me. But I'll break it down and look at the game we start out with tomorrow. Game of the year matchup right here. Undefeated, the battle of undefeateds, and one still undefeated from even last year. The streaks is on the line. This feels like the Undertaker, right? The Explorers is the Undertaker, and the Thunderbirds are trying to be Brock Lesnar. You know, that's really what this game is right now. You know, is the T-Birds going to be Brock, or is they going to be, you know, everybody else that fell victim? We don't know. Streak could end or, you know, continue. And if this is a win by the Explorers, I mean, that just says a lot about this team. We already know how great this team is. We know how great both these teams is. The winner of this takes the NRC North lead for the moment. And we're not wasting time till Monday. We're not waiting till Sunday. None of that. First game of the week is game of the week, okay? Thunderbirds Explorers. Now, I came up with the score here. You can't pick against a team that's been undefeated like the Explorers until they're beaten. So I chose the Explorers as the favorites to win this. Let me go through the spreads so I can make sure I know what the spreads were. All right, yeah, so I chose them as favorites to win this, and this game's always close, man. It's always close. It's always fought to the end. It's tough. And I went with the Thunderbirds, the Explorers, by a field goal or more. So I think it will be decided that close. The defense of the Thunderbirds, amazing again. We haven't seen too much of the Explorers this year, but we haven't seen too much of the Thunderbirds either. They only played 2 games. I think the Explorers only played 2 games. So we're going to see how that goes. The Explorers got the home field advantage too. So, they got a lot working with them. And I'm going to pick them here. Can't go against them by 3 or more points. How I think this game's going to unfold, I really do think the Thunderbirds got a shot. I was hoping to end their streak last year until I messed up. I played a bell even for last year for simming this game, and so now this is the get back opportunity here for the Thunderbirds. Knock off the Columbus Explorers on the road in Columbus. I think they definitely could get it done. The play that I've been seeing, from Daryl Johnson, he's definitely showing his flashes, his moments, but this Thunderbirds defense is just very ferocious this year, and I think it's going to be tough for them to hold. My biggest concern for the Thunderbirds, though, is their offense. Their offense needs to show consistency. They need to be able to run the football to somewhat of a good degree, and the wide receivers have to be able to make plays on those good corners on the outside of for the Columbus Explorers, and that's why I still got it in favor of the Explorers. Like I said, can't pick up against them. All right, Friday, Desperados and Lancers. Now the Lancers need a win. This is the great chance for them to get that. But I'm going with the Desperados here by 2 or more points. I got the spread at the 1.5 because Desperados, they're technically you could say they're better. Of course, record-wise, they're 3-3. Lancers are 1-5, I believe. Yeah, 1-5. And so I just feel like this is going to be a game where, once again, the Lancers just can't put it together somehow. Desperados, I think they should be able to run the football with Tavion Hall. The run defense is pretty solid of OKC, though. I will say that, but it's been looking shaky because of how the season's been going. They need help from their offense. They can't be turning the football over. It's been tough for Trey Mason, but it's also been extremely tough for Kyle Bain. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to Kyle Bain, but after this week, this guy threw 9 interceptions in 3 weeks. So if there's a chance for this defense to step up, especially how they played last week against the Crusaders, it's now. Lancers need to win this game to at least get something going in the South. But I got the Desperados about a spread 2.5. All right, then we move into the Super Saturday games. I did not color code this, the Barons and the Monarchs. I'll change that though and post that on social media. But the Barons and Monarchs, going with the Monarchs here by 4 or more points at home. Of course, they're 5-1. They've looked pretty solid. Got a heck of a beatdown by the Steamers. Hopefully that doesn't transition and roll into this week that's coming in, because at times that can happen. But the Monarchs, they should not be able to do that. They should be able to come in here and win. Steamers are a tough opponent. Got it done. In terms of the Barons, I loved the way they looked last week. I did. I really did. They looked so much better and they look competitive, and that's the way they should look. With the talent they got, if they're not winning, they should at least put up quite the fight with what they have. And I think that they'll be able to do a bit of that with the Monarchs. But at the end of the day, I still feel like the Monarchs are the more talented team based off the morale and how it's been going so far. So 4 more points, I got the Monarchs winning by. All right. This is a must-win, and I talked about earlier. I swear on everything, Reed. If you lose this game to the Black Knights, you're going to get the most bells out of anybody in RFL history, man. Telling you. This is a must-win game, but don't sleep on them Black Knights. Because the Black Knights, yeah, they beat the Sentinels and they're down bad, but they scrap. They scrap. Me, honestly, though, even though I got them in good position to fight and battle like that, I think when they face teams of this talent, they're not going to do that well, just like how we saw with CT. Bulldogs should be able to win this flat out. But with their current struggles, I would have did more than a touchdown, but I have the spread by a touchdown. It is a division game. You never know how it can go. It was a division game for CT. They got the job done, though. But we'll see. We will see. Black Knights, best believe, I'm going to have them bring in their A game. But Reed, you better get the dub. All right. Nothing too much to say there. Crusaders and Snowhawks. This is also pretty much a must-win for the Snowhawks as well. I mean, they just took an L to the Elks. They lost the Condors already, and they're playing the Crusaders. They will be 0-3 in the division in the NRC West if they don't win this game. You got the home field advantage. Just got beat in Salt Lake City, and you just saw the Crusaders struggle and just come back literally in like the fourth quarter, being down by 20 points to the Lancers. So if there's any chance at getting this win against this team who, you know, we've seen look explosive in all those other games except for that Lancers game at that point, this is where the Snowhawks got to be able to capitalize. Gotta win here at home. It's a must. I got the I chose the Crusaders though. I chose the Crusaders. And this is why I chose the Crusaders. The run game. The run game of the Snowhawks just hasn't been too well. I don't like how Gidley is throwing interceptions. He's looking just like last season. This is starting to become a recurrent thing at this point. The run game is good, but then you know, the Crusaders, man, their offense is very explosive. I think they definitely got the receivers to work this defense. And they definitely got the offensive line to kill their linebackers. They are still very young and developing. And so I'm going with the Crusaders by 2. I got a 1.5. And Mitch, you got to prove me wrong. You got to get this win. This is a must win for the Snorks. All right, Voyagers and Riverhogs. Riverhogs have swept the Voyagers in the regular season last year and beat them in the beginning of this season in overtime, 23-20. So that was close. I think it's going to be another close game again between these two. They're just a great rivalry matchup in the RFL. But I'm going to take the Voyagers this time. Voyagers should be able to get this win, and I got them winning by 3 or more points. I love, of course, what the Riverhogs is doing over there. I love what Q's been doing over there, trying to work with, you know, the pieces, of course, that he's got. He's helped out even a little bit with the draft, even though he didn't technically draft. Did add some pieces and influence some ideas, so, you know, that's a good thing. And I like, you know, how the team is looking defensively, and they get Key Endeavor back, I believe they do. So that's going to be a big plus. So we'll see how that goes. But at the end of the day, I think the Voyagers are top 4 team in the RFL for a reason, which is why I got them there. And they should be able to get this win and split with the Riverhogs after this week. All right. Huskies and Sentinels. Man, Sentinels, 4-game losing streak. Definitely don't got those guys right now. I mean, 2 straight, a sweep by the Black Knights. I have no faith in this team right now beating the Huskies. They're going to have to prove me wrong. I always give it a closer margin simply because the Sentinels, you know, I give respect to Tour as a coach. I know he knows how to do certain things and make his team competitive, but this year it just has not been the case. But, you know, hopefully he figures something out to be competitive this week as he faces off against a very high Huskies team. He does have the home field advantage, so that will help a little bit. But the Huskies is coming to town, man. Huskies is coming to town. And you better be able to cover. That's all I'm gonna say. You better be able to cover, and you better have DWJ on his A game. Because if DWJ does not ball in this game, it is over by a landslide against the Huskies. I'm telling you now. But I got the Huskies by 4 more points. All right, our second to last game, Condors and Gunners. You know, at the end of the day, like I said, the Gunners at this point, after their loss to Shamrocks, I don't feel like the playoff is a thing for them. They just traded away Golson, which opens up the pass a lot more now for the Gunners on defense. For the pass on offenses for other teams that their defense faces, excuse me. And, man, I just don't think the Condors that with that piece that that they can beat the Condors. I think they have the talent, of course, to be able to do that, but that piece could influence just enough for them to get the win. But I think I'm gonna go with 3 points for the Condors because they're just more of a pass heavy team, and I do think they'll be able to take advantage of the Gunners defense in that way and make it happen. I want to see some explosion. If there's anything I want to see some explosion out of Chase McCoy in this offense and kind of look a little lackluster in a couple RFL games. I want to just see a little bit more explosion. You know, they had a very close game against the Desperados a few weeks back. Wasn't expecting that. Should have played better. And now you're facing up against the Gunners, who right now are just not playing good defense and, you know, not looking anywhere near the same as last year with all those pieces going and an extra one heading into this week. We got the home field advantage, though. We'll see how that turns out. And then the last game of the week is in the ARC South as we have the Dreadnoughts and the Miners. Once again, like I said, Miles McCain doing his thing as a rookie right now. He's got a great defense there to support him. He's got some good solid wide receivers. He's building that rapport with Buck Ulbrich catching on the outside. But one wide receiver, the quarterback to wide receiver connection that I just feel is just that much more talented is OJ to KJ. And I have to go with the Dreadnoughts here. I think it's going to be a close game. It's a division game. I got them by 3 or more points. We'll see how Miles McCain does. Miles McCain, this is actually going to be on him. This game is going to be on the quarterbacks, which is great. You know, you want to see these young quarterbacks go at it, right? Owen Jack versus Miles McCain. Miles McCain is going to have to make plays and score touchdowns on this Dreadnoughts defense if he wants to come out on top of this game. The defense is going to support him. They're going to keep it at bay, but how long can you keep KJ at bay? We already know that's almost impossible. They're great at stopping the run, and Cam Perkins hasn't been that great on the ground this year. So I think they could take away the run, but KJ is going to make plays, right? Now it comes down to, can McCain make more plays with his wide receivers than OJ can with him? And I just feel like you can't cover, KJ. So, he's going to beat the defense. And I think it'll just be enough. That could go 50-50. That honestly could go 50-50 right now. But I'm taking the Dreads. But that is my predictions for week 7 of the RFL Season 8 season. We have our bye weeks right here with the Armadillos, Aviators, Bisons, Diablos, Elks, Steamers, Celtic Tigers, and Cougars. For anybody wondering, hey, what's the other teams doing? They're not doing nothing. They're either getting auto wins or getting on a bye. But yeah, so that's it. Let's go ahead and move into the fun facts with Pat. All right. First question. After 6 weeks, who leads the RFL in sacks with 9.5? Looking around. Don't see it yet. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. All right. So leading the RFL in sacks with 9.5, it is Carter Delahart of the Voyagers. He's got the 9.5. We could go to, he's got the top 4 here. Second in sacks this season so far, Charles Raymond with 8.5. Then we got Dante Floyd with the Crusaders with 8 for third. And then Marquis Sowell with 7 sacks there at 4. All right. Question number 2. The last time the Thunderbirds played the Explorers in Columbus, whose sack with 5 minutes to go made the difference? Whose sack made the difference? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Eric got it. Dunn, why are you answering the question, bro? You can't get reloads. What's up with you? Hit a bell for Dunn out here tripping. All right, so yeah, that's the answer. Jason Henderson, former Columbus Explorer, got traded away to the Houston Voyagers. Ball. All right, last question. 3 RFL quarterbacks have been sacked 17 times or more in season 8. Name 2 of them. Name 2 of the 3 quarterbacks that's been sacked 17 or more times so far this season. And put them both together, not separate, please. Not seeing it yet. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. All right. The answers for the top 3 quarterbacks so far that's got 17 or more sacks is Kyle Bain, who's been sacked 18 times, as well as Trey Mason III on the Lancers. And then Glenn Hay has been sacked 17 times with the Voyagers there. Is this spelling? Oh, I'm missing. I don't know what Mitch talk about. What Gidley's got more sacks than this? He said these facts are no fun. Yeah, he's been sacked 17 times. Yeah, he's been a little, of course, MVP season last year to ARC, but hasn't been playing the same as of yet. Teams playing him a lot tougher. No, okay. All right then. So that's it for fun facts with Pat. Who had one? It was Eric who got the only one right. So you get 1,000, and then Pat gets 1,000 because he got 2 questions. He gets 500 for ones that aren't answered. All right, so open questions. If you saved your questions, feel free to ask them here. I'll go ahead and read them. And let's see what time it is. I could spare 10 minutes. We put a timer on so I can know to get out of here though. Gotta work tomorrow. It says, Smitty, you said you have to get, you said you going to give Reed most bells if they lose. How you like the name Bell Dogs? That's good too. It's another good one. We're gonna go with that. It says, how many RFL wins do you think the Elks need to sit comfortably in the playoff picture? 6. Well, 7. Definitely would have to be 7 because you get 5. 11 wins kind of helps you really. It's not a guarantee. It is not a guarantee, but that should help them out. They got 6 wins, but not all of those are RFL wins for anybody's who doesn't know that. That's asking how is that possible? The best play of the weekend. It's tough to pinpoint. Go back and look at those games again. Just make sure, because I can't remember off the top of my head. All right, let's see. What games took place in the... Okay. I don't know. I don't think I could pinpoint a play. There's a lot of decent plays. Nothing really like stood out too crazy to me. There was some good plays. That's all I could say. Well, I guess you could say KJ making all those, those plays and burning the defense. He was making plays all day. Crusaders comeback was dope. That game-winning touchdown, things like that. So Elks has had all RFL games, right? Let me check. I could check that right now. I know most of them are definitely RFL games though, which is why they're sitting really nice. They've only had they've had 2 auto wins from NFL games. So they played 4 RFL games. They get an auto win this week too. Then they play the Condors, which I think they could win. The Tigers, they could win. Shamrocks, they could win. Crusaders, they could win. They beat the Snorks already before, but I don't think they win that second time around. They shouldn't. Auto win. Then the Desperados is beatable. Condors beatable again. Auto win. Hey, man, Elks should make the playoffs this year, man. Based off of how they moving, who they beat already, and what's left, they got a good shot. Very good shot. Said, when was the Tigers' last winning season? I mean, they've went 10-6 before, which means they won half their games. I don't think they've ever had a winning season RFL-wise. Most teams get winning seasons anyway in the RFL because of the auto wins. But if you're talking RFL-wise, they've, I think, finished at 500 at best. I don't think they've ever finished any better than that. Which means you guys would have to go 12-5 to snap that. So also, why are the Elks in the top 10? Yeah, I had already explained that during the top 10. It's just I don't feel like they're better than those teams that they play. That's ahead of them. I definitely can't put them ahead of the top 9. Let's look at this again, just so you can know where I'm at with it. So definitely not better than Explorers. Okay, we could definitely say they're not better than those top 5 teams. They're not better than the Huskies. We know that. Not better than the Cougars. Not better than the Aviators. Definitely not better than the Bulldogs, even though they're struggling. But, there's the talents on that team. At this point, it was kind of like you were in that range right here for 10. But I think the Dreadnoughts are a better team. That's just how I feel. This isn't standings, rankings. This is power rankings. So I think if, the Elks were to play the Dreadnoughts would be favored to win. So, to me, Dreadnoughts are the better team. You guys are sitting at like 11, 12, something like that. Right on the cusp, but you got to keep showing it. And you definitely got the schedule to do that. It has some good wins. And get some decent games coming up too that you got to close out. It says, is Miles exceeding expectations? Yeah, I would have to say yeah. Because honestly, for me, I didn't think he would be like, I'm not saying he would, never said he would be trash coming in, but I didn't think he'd be this decent. He's not like he's doing exceptionally like on some, oh wow, a whole nother level. Like definitely best rookie of the draft class type deal. I'm not saying that, but he's doing way better than I expected him to do. I figured he'd have more picks by now. I figured his team had lost a bit more games by now. But he's keeping them afloat, and he's actually playing good game. I'm more surprised by like I said, him taking care of the football as well as he is right now. And the deep ball that translated over perfectly. I love when he takes a shot down the field. If you're playing him, that's when you need to hold your breath, because a lot of times he's delivering a dime, and a wide receiver's going to make a play. And, to me, he's playing kind of like, how he did in college when it comes to that. Exactly like how he did in college. He's showing improvement, too, scanning the field, making better decisions, hitting what the defense is giving him. And I think he's very much set up for success because, like I said, I think he's going to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year easily. There's nobody really competing for him. I mean, even though nobody's competing for him, shoot, that's extra easy XP. This guy was 76 overall or something right now. That could jump him up. He could be looking at near 80s, if not at 80, by the end of the season, kind of like Jacob McCall did. And we see what he's doing now. Interceptions are high for McCall and everything now, but of course, we don't understand the team situation. But with him, he's got a great defense, things like that. Miles McCain he's definitely exceeding expectations in my book. A defender. Going up another overall with the reloads. Was the only play of the week. Oh, this thing keeps resetting on me, guys. That's why. See, he's now 60, 69. Okay, you guys are talking. Miles easily wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Dunn had a point. Not many offensive rookies is doing much, and they're compared. Yeah, he's that. I don't see how any other rookie can at this point. And the quarterback position for one, if you already got that advantage, and on top of that, you're actually balling. Like, there's no way he should lose that. Great. You better knock on wood, though, to hope that homeboy doesn't get injured. I'll say that. So, let's see. Not true because I'm balling. Yeah, but you're in the NRC, Glenn. They can have confidence, but doesn't mean. So is the Pro Bowl being fan voted like the Senior Bowl? No, Pro Bowl in the RFL is always based off of Madden. So whoever made it throughout within that game, we keep those, and yeah. So that's how that shapes out. Same difference. Oh yeah, you already told him. Okay, if we win this game, we 3-0 in the division. Yeah, that's a big game for the Dreadnoughts, man. Almost mid-season Reload Bowl prediction. I think in the NRC it's either going to be the Thunderbirds or the Explorers representing the NRC. If I had to make a prediction, as for the ARC, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's extremely tough. I can't even tell you. If I had to make a prediction, though, I still can't even tell you. Honestly, I'm literally stuck. I don't know who I would choose out of the ARC that I would say is like clear to go win the conference championship and play one of those teams. Don't be shocked either, because the Steamers is balling on another level. Steamers could very well also represent in the NRC. So we'll have to see how that goes. All right. Power rankings are meaningless anyway. Yeah, they don't mean much. Okay, there goes the timer for my 10 minutes. I'm going to finish out what's left on here, the questions. All right, yeah, I'm going to stop where Frankie's last question is. He says, Smitty, you still doing possible dev adjustments after mid? Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to doing that. So we'll see how that goes. Pick 6 for CC. Elks shock the world. Too many teams to choose from. ARC, yeah. All right, so I'm caught up, man. I appreciate all you guys tuning in to the RFL podcast as usual. It's your boy Smitty, RFL commissioner and play-by-play commentator. Definitely got to make sure that I get this schedule and everything out here. I hopefully can post one of these tonight real quick. Sometimes it just slips my mind. I gotta go do just a little something. But that being said, that's it for me. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the banger. Thunderbirds versus Explorers. Man, let me know in the chat right now who you guys got winning that. Who is going to walk out of that undefeated? Thunderbirds or Explorers? But I'm going to leave you guys on that. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace. I messed up the music already. I might as well close it out with the ending. Here we go.